Hello, ladies. This is Akash Patel, and I am a Spanish and world languages teacher with Dallas Independent School District, and my family is from India. So I was really excited to receive your questions all the way from Norway. Let me tell you a little bit about India. India is a country of 1 billion people. There are over 460 languages and 1,200 dialects. There's many tribes in India, so there's people with different customs, different practices, and different beliefs. So let me answer your first question. Do you think the social hierarchy in India influences the way people communicate? Yes, it does. So India was, the Indian system was based predominantly on the caste system, where different castes were on different levels of the social hierarchy. Now, the Indian government no longer recognizes these castes, but we still have reservations for people in the scheduled tribes and the scheduled castes, or the untouchables that they were called before. So yes, it does affect how people communicate with each other, because it is very uncommon for somebody from the former lower caste to marry somebody from the top class of India. So there's four classes in the Indian caste system, which even today, if you look at somebody's last name, you could tell that this person belongs to this caste. It is very, very uncommon in not so educated families for people to marry within different castes or intercaste marriages. So communication becomes extremely difficult. Also, opportunities for people are scarce if they're from the lower caste. If you're from the higher caste, you have more access to opportunities and you're more privileged. However, the caste system is being challenged by mostly educated communities in the inner cities, but the caste system is still prevalent, which very much affects the way people interact with each other. Now, to answer your second question, are there any differences between communicating with your parents or friends compared to strangers? Yes. Parents are supposed to be highly respected in India, and families are very conservative. Not all families are very liberal, like my family, where I could talk to my parents the way I talk to my friends, my American friends or my Indian friends. It is very common for me to have informal conversations. But yes, with your parents, you probably cannot have certain conversations that people can have in Western countries. So it's very awkward because Indian society is very conservative, and it is not very common for young people to talk openly with their parents. The third question is, a source we found states that people in India tend to avoid eye contact with the people of the opposite gender. Yes, that is true in some tribes, not in every tribe and caste. Now, where I grew up in the inner city, I could look at women, and I had no problem at all whatsoever looking at women or people of the opposite gender and have great conversations with them, whether they were people that I knew or whether they were people I did not know. I would always be open to striking conversations with women, absolutely comfortable doing so, just like I would be able to in the United States. But in India, in certain tribes, women have to cover their faces or have to cover their heads when they're talking to strange men who are not their husbands or not their family members. So yes, women will avoid eye contact. Mostly it's women. Men, they have more freedoms because India is more of a patriarchal society, male-dominated society. So men tend to enjoy more freedoms than women, which is something that a lot of young people are challenging today. They are fighting for equal opportunity and equal rights for women and men in India. So I hope that answers your question. So yes, it's still prevalent, but not in metropolitan communities, maybe in rural India, where tribes still believe that you're not supposed to look at a man who's not your husband or your family member, so you avoid eye contact with him. To answer your next question, a source states that Indians tend to avoid words such as no to not appear rude or aggressive. This is really something that's very strange. I haven't heard of this. I would like to verify the source with you and try to find out where you found this, because we usually will say no. But there's a few things that happen in India. People will not say no if somebody's trying to offer you food. For example, in Indian communities, people are very hospitable. If you were to go to India, people will feed you till they're like, eat more, eat more, eat more. And in Indian communities, we consider it a little offensive to say no to the host. Be like, no, I'm full. But it is absolutely okay for you to say no to certain things when people offer you things in India. Indian people are extremely hospitable and very kind, so it is okay for you to say no. But I do get it why in some instances people will not say no because they don't want to be shown off as rude or aggressive. So the last question that you had was, in Norway we hug each other every time we meet. And let me tell you, I'm a Spanish teacher, so I teach Latin American studies, and most Latin America people can hug each other and they can kiss each other on the cheeks as long as they're of the opposite gender. But in India, it is not very common for people to hug people of the opposite gender, especially if that person is not your girlfriend or your wife or a close friend of yours. But in the metropolitan cities, again, let me make sure I make this clear, that in bigger cities, like cities where I grew up, it was totally cool for me to give a hug to my friend, a female friend at my school. So it's very common. It's not that it's frowned upon, but if you are in a conservative family, if you're in a conservative part of India, you hug someone, that would be frowned upon. And that's why India uses a greeting where they fold their hands and they say namaste. So they will bow a little bit and they'll say namaste. So they prefer not to physically touch someone, which could be looked off as inappropriate. So yes, that question depends on the neighborhood again. All of your questions were incredible. I am really appreciative that you reached out to me and asked me to answer these questions. So thank you so much. And if there's any other questions you have, please do not hesitate to contact me at my email address. I'll be happy to answer them. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I also want to invite you guys to come and speak to some of my World Cultures Classroom students in the mornings at 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Y'all can just hang out with some of my 6th graders and they can play mystery hangout. They wouldn't know you're from Norway and they would ask you guys some questions to figure out where you're from. So let's keep our conversation going via email. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope you have a fantastic day.